What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of
TOASTY.
I'm your host, Josh Berry.
I'm the other host, Chris Pico. Today we're going to be talking to a couple of local actors slash filmmakers, Allie Kunkler and Jake Carr, who are getting a horror short put together, and they want to come onto the show and talk to us about it.
Very nice.
High five!
Okay, here are our guests. Yay!
Hi.
Jake and Allie.
Hey.
They want to talk about their film, Cheap Plastic Mask.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
you guys are crowdfunding this thing?
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah?
Yeah, we're aiming to raise about $9,000. Yeah, we're going through a site called Seed&Spark, which
I've never heard of
is...
that one before.
Yeah, so it's very similar to a Kickstarter or Indiegogo, but what's cool about this one is it is specifically for independent film, and it's a selective process, so you have to create a pitch video and submit a bunch of materials to be selected to be on it or not.
Yeah, I took a look after you guys posted your video on Facebook, and I saw that you can actually allocate your money to certain aspects of it. Like you can, if you want camera equipment, or
It
you
makes
want,
it a lot more
craft
personal.
services. Yeah,
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of like a wedding registry sort of setup,
Basically.
which is interesting.
That's a good way to put it.
So
I
you
like the
can,
description. She was like, "Yeah, we need food."
yeah, we need food, and so it's like you can donate just an amount of money. Like you can donate $100 if you want to donate, or you can look at the different areas where we need, and it's broken down into like gore. We're building our set, you know what I mean? So like food, all of the things that we need, paper, like all of the things that we need. So you can, the reality of the things, and compensation, which is a good chunk of our budget.
We feel very strongly about paying people for their work. Because I feel like in this industry, in independent film, a lot of really talented people work just because they're passionate, which is so amazing. And I've done it a million times.
I've asked people to do it a lot.
Exactly.
I feel really bad about it, but they're all like, well, we just want to do something. So,
So, I mean, we are absolutely a micro-budget film. We're not able to pay full day rates, but that is a goal. We're working towards incorporating and actually forming a production company. Jake and I and another friend of ours who's a producer named Maura, the three of us are working towards, we have our name.
Hopefully, hopefully.
That will be our production company, so stay tuned for that. That'll be in a little bit, but right now, the film is the number one thing on our minds. We have mid-November shoot dates, so...
One of the other a super cool thing about Seed&Spark that's a little bit of a different thing than Kickstarter or whatever. They have a cinema on their site that streams projects that have been completed through.
Okay, so that explains you get three free views for donating this much money. Okay, I was wondering
which is cool because I know that they'll also stream just other independent film outside of their system, but it's a cool thing that so we'll stream Cheap Plastic Mask through Seed&Spark, and you can pay to watch it, but there's the site has something called Sparks. It's like their on-site currency. When you donate money, you get Sparks, which you use to watch films in the cinema, and so any donation of $10 or more gives you enough credits to watch the film and actually stream the film.
Once.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then so per $10 donation, you get a watch of the film.
So that way you don't have to burn DVDs and ship them off to
Absolutely.
people. Absolutely.
Yeah.
There you go.
Which that's a really easy buy, I think, because you're donating, but also it's a free movie ticket in the same kind of.
Sounds like it's more of a site set up for film fans too. Like, I can't make a film, but I like to see this film.
Absolutely.
Here's some money for this, and then I get to watch it. And
Yeah,
it's cool.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
It's a good
like, we have a whole incentive program set up, which is the incentive program is similar to other crowdfunding sites. Donate X amount of money, get X thing.
Get a poster or whatever.
Yeah. But definitely one of the really cool things is the ability to like actually tangibly get to watch the film, which sometimes it can be hard to track down independent film after you donate to it or get it off the ground.
My brother's film.
Right? Yeah, sure. I mean, everybody's friend's film.
If you live in Asia, you can find it pretty easily.
Right.
From what I understand.
I've
But
heard
yeah,
so.
anyone could, whether you're, giving money to a movie or making a film yourself, even if you're not doing that, you could still create a profile on this site, and it's a really cool way to discover independent movies.
That's what
Yeah.
I started following the movie.
They've been about.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. I think.
I saw that
next paycheck.
I saw that you were. I said.
I was like, oh, I could
Christopher's
donate some
on.
money, but then I can't eat.
Thank you. Well,
so
like
next paycheck.
even to be considered
Do your
over
groceries
food,
first. Yeah.
to be
I'm going to
considered
craft services.
Yeah.
in relation. Listen, yeah, we need money for food. Like that's something you don't think about.
You'll know
but-
it's me because it'll jump up.
Happy
a couple.
tummies equals a happy crew.
Yeah, man.
I learned that. the
We
hard
need
way.
a happy crew.
And we're thinking, so we're filming for over the course of 4 days,
Yeah.
which means it's going to be 4 long days, and especially there's a lot of fight choreography and violence,
Yeah.
which will be
That's
fun.
fun.
So
Yeah.
that'll people need to eat
Yeah.
in between.
Yeah.
You don't think about it. That's
we
a lot
need
of money.
protein and water
Yeah, coffee.
and gummy bears.
Gummy bears, got about all
Gummy
of it.
bears.
Specific. We have
It's the
Aya.
fuel that keeps it going.
Yeah.
In the wish list, there's a specific category.
Haribos.
The director's
Give us
gummy
money.
bears.
All red gummy bears. Too.
Yes.
Very difficult to work with.
That's where that assistant will come in.
Yeah, there's
Sorting my
You guys want to tell us a little bit about the film?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So this film, well, Jake's the writer, I'm the director. The film started actually as a radio play for a theater company called Wild Claw Theater Company, which I'm a member of. Wild Claw does this really cool program every year called Death Scribe, where they basically perform live on stage 5 radio plays, and last year Jake's was selected as a Death Scribe piece, and so then after that was over, we talked about making it into a movie. We were like, yeah, let's freaking do this.
And it's
So
the story seemed to
expanded,
translate
yeah.
well.
Yeah, the first time I ever read it, I pictured it. I could see it, and it's funny because it was actually written to be only heard, but I had such a strong vision for it. So, yeah.
So I guess plot-wise, the quick pitch of the film, it's a single setting short horror movie, goal-wise, somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes. I guess we'll see how, it comes out in editing.
Yeah.
But where it is the night of a Halloween party, like a Halloween party that's winding down, and two strangers who meet in the bathroom of a Halloween party, and there's a good amount of time spent to figuring out exactly what the relationship between this guy and this girl is going to be, and sort of playing with the idea of when you see a man enter a room with an incapacitated woman, what, as a viewer of movies, what do you immediately assume is going to happen? And taking a little bit of time to play with that relationship so that you really get to know who these two people are, and it's very character-driven. And then it becomes clear that there is something not quite savory afoot as you get to know these people, so that by the time that the horror enters the picture, you hopefully care much more about the two of them as they're put into a life-threatening situation. Versus, as much as I love all the Friday the 13th movies and all that stuff, you don't
exactly know for character development.
No, you don't know anything about
exactly.
the characters. You don't care about any of them. They are plot points to be killed along the way, but sort of making this all about the people who are on the receiving end, like the human element of
It humanizes
violence.
the victims.
Yeah.
That are, usually just pawns,
Yeah.
basically.
Just kind of there.
I love the Final Destination movies.
Oh, yeah.
I love a good kill, but yeah, you don't know anything about these characters, and you also don't really care about them.
Right.
No.
Ew.
something that I was really focused on when I was writing it was to set up a situation, like somebody's drunk in a bathroom at a Halloween party with people that they don't like, and like unfortunately need somebody to babysit them. And I know that I've been on both ends of that, like very relatable like circumstance.
Yeah.
You know, like being the person who has to babysit the drunk person at the party, especially if it's not somebody that you want to take care of right now. So like hopefully quickly setting up a very relatable interaction and getting those pieces in place so that it is a very realistic feeling situation, so that again when the horror starts to happen, I was really trying to be very conscious as I was writing it out, like what would I actually do if I was in this very real world circumstance, like not fighting against the idea of like horror movie logic of, oh, like strange noise, let me go investigate, you know what I mean? Fighting against that logic and actually thinking like what would you actually do, and really establishing a sense of reality and naturalism and like a natural environment, so that again when scary stuff starts to happen, it hopefully hits you more in the gut because you realize that these people are hopefully doing the things that you would do, and trouble is still like catching up very quickly.
And that's why I think this movie is going to actually be a scary movie, because I think it is going to be very real and very relatable. Yeah, and there are, you know, a couple movies out there that are like that for me that are some of the scariest movies to me, because they feel close almost, you know, like, oh my gosh,
like close to home. Yeah
because I think honestly, like, humans and human behavior can be one of the most terrifying things, actually, like for real.
I agree.
And I love a good ghost movie. I get very scared. Like The Conjuring, I was like, whoo.
Yeah, that one surprised me. I didn't think that James Wan had it in him.
Yeah, I mean,
That
how
was actually
surprising
a
is that?
movie.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was a surprising,
Yeah.
We're trying to, just trying to do something, I don't know, in a short amount of time, trying to do some fun things with, I don't know, with expectations in a brief, you know, period. Like we're gonna film. There'll be no score, so it'll all be the ambient noise of what's going on in the party. And then as people like out, because it all takes place in this bathroom, and like as people outside the door start to file out, and you're like focusing on this relationship inside this like very claustrophobic room, you hear things going on with the other guests throughout the house, which eventually tie into like the larger picture as a whole.
The sound tells a whole nother story in this movie. We have a whole section on our Seed&Spark for sound.
For sound design, because
it's huge.
That would be a fun job, sitting outside the door trying to make all the sounds.
Yeah, and so we're gonna try to do as much of it as like, you know, really focus for gore, all practical, like hard practical, and as much practical sound as we can. Yeah. Since we're working a lot with ambient noise, like, you know, inevitably a lot of it will be done in post, you know, but trying to do as much actual like ambient sound in the in the space as we're filming.
Our biggest budget items are sound, makeup, and gore. Because as a makeup artist,
Allie's
that's my
also
day
a makeup
job.
artist.
I'm not doing the makeup on this movie, just because that's one too many hats. But yeah, as a makeup artist, I mean, to me, nothing kills an independent horror film than bad effects, bad makeup.
Especially if you're going for realism.
Especially, that like gritty, raw, you know, feel. Ineffective makeup it takes me right out of it. Maybe it's just me, but
I think you're right.
But I don't
blame
think so.
HD too.
Yeah.
And being able to see some of the strings behind the magic.
Yeah, and we're building our set because it all takes place in a bathroom, so we wanted to be able to control the environment. Because filming in an actual bathroom, it's tiny. There are sound issues, hard, you know, to do lights, and we want to be able to pull walls away.
I was just going to say, you're going to be able to have the walls come away,
Yeah, absolutely, so that we can get angles.
Yeah. So, and
just don't let us see the ceiling.
I'm super pumped. We have some ideas of like we're currently in like the nailing down the location and hunting out spaces. So that's really exciting to see like where it's going to live, because noise control will also be super important, since we are focusing so much on like capturing ambient sound.
And
like
silence. Warehouse environment type of deal, or
yeah, we've seen some warehouses.
Warehouse or soundstage. We have a possible soundstage that we can shoot at.
Yeah,
Or-
so which would be amazing. Which would be so cool.
So with the name, I like the name, and when I immediately thought of it, and I heard that you were a connoisseur of sort to the horror.
Love horror movies.
And then he told me what the premise was, and I watched it, and I understood it. But I immediately thought that it was kind of a play on a lot of today's films with the masks and how like everything's this kind of cheap looking mask.
Yeah, and so like I guess when I was initially. Well, so it's funny to think about because it initially was a radio play, so it was something that people were only going to think about. So, of all, I mean, as much as I love horror in general and what I really key in on is slasher films. So, not to say like whether or not that has a direct impact on this specific project without tipping the hat too much, but I do love slasher films, and like when I think as like these iconic images. As a radio play, this idea of like a cheap plastic mask, anybody who knows horror movies is going to immediately have something like I think of like Halloween, Scream, Halloween 3,
Friday the 13th.
What was that? Like Alice,
Right.
Sweet Alice, the old the old Brooke Shields.
Yeah, Brooke Shields.
Yeah. That iconic dime store Halloween mask. Not, like that. I think so. I was really into this since this is all
Cabin in the
radio
Woods even
play.
had like masked, the three people in the black
Absolutely.
suits with the
Right.
masks.
Yep.
Yeah. And the strangers and your necks and all that stuff.
Uh-huh.
Like this idea of like this like archetypal image of the cheap plastic mask. Knowing that people were only going to hear the script and build everything in their like hear the radio play out loud and build everything in their mind. That was just an image that I thought would be really fun because everybody would immediately have a touchstone for it, and it would probably be different from person to person, but like everybody knows what the idea of like a cheap Halloween plastic mask means to them, and also what that means to them in relation to horror movies. So that was kind of that's where
It's really clever. Man.
that's where that
Is there
came
like a
from.
Scream type of vibe, or
In the sense that there's humor. I mean
there is humor, but yeah.
but it's not like self-aware.
No.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
not
'Cause
in the way that
that's
Scream
I was gonna say that's
is,
like
yeah.
played out.
Great question.
Yeah.
No, I think you're right.
No, much more like realistic and honest. Just almost. I mean, it's very much a drama, actually.
So it happens to have horror elements in it.
Yep,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. You could easily be watching this movie if you knew nothing about this movie. You could watch it and just think that it was a drama
Until the
about
moment
two
when
characters
The
meeting.
knife comes
Yeah.
out.
Until the moment when. So
it's kind of psycho-ish.
Kind of. I mean,
Yeah.
so, and I think, I don't know, we tried to make sure also to, in the quest to make, like, our central, like, protagonists, just characters that you're interested in, and maybe one of them isn't the protagonist, etc., but, like, people that you are, like, I guess, like, really, really interested in who these two people are. And there is, I think, especially towards the top, like, a lot of humor that comes just from, like, the humor comes from the character interaction. There's these two strangers who are drunk at this party that both of them hate, are like getting to know each other. So like humor comes, I guess, more from the or from the characters and from the situation.
funny things are funny because they're true.
Yeah, and
People are funny because they're human and flawed.
Or if you're
and
scared, people use humor to lighten the mood type of deal.
exactly.
Yeah, totally.
So sort of playing off of that more so than like having it be a joke or a wink. Just having the characters be intelligent and just intelligent people that respond, again, like trying to make them respond to increasingly bizarre circumstances up until like the like real hard horror hits. As much as I would find myself reacting in the same situation, and sort of instead of winking at the conventions and like in a Scream way or a Cabin in the Woods way, just having the characters be smarter than falling into the stupid traps of the conventions.
Yeah.
Be right back.
Yes. No.
it's like outsmarting the conventions.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so not so much screamy, more I guess more I don't want to say sincere. I don't know if that's the right
I think
word.
it's hard to describe what I would compare it to, because I think it's really different than a lot of horror that's out there. I think it's very different. And
I guess without saying too much about it, the two lead characters are also not the characters that get to be the leads in horror movies. I guess without getting to say too much more about why that's kind of the fun of like figuring out who they are, but they're not the usual heroine or the usual like, I don't know, strong arm like all American jock guy. That there are voices that you don't, talking about things that you don't usually get to hear in the conversations that are usually just about like sex and drugs and like sex. You know what I mean? That there's actually, I don't know, that you get to hear, that you get to see people go through circumstances that you've seen in a lot of other movies, but these are not the people that you're used to see going through the actions. Okay. Yeah. We made the choice early on, like, that this is the first, like, being very clear that this is the first film that we produced together as a production team. Yeah. The first of many, hopefully, and the goal is to, you know, use the short to get resources to submit to 1 million festivals and make a feature.
Yeah, this is our calling card.
Yeah. And
this is our, look, we can make good movies.
Yeah, there are horror movies can also be interesting and have characters and have substance outside of the horror. Like, the horror can be an additional element on top of an already strong structure. It doesn't have to be the only thing going for a story is the violence.
And something that's really cool about this is, as Jake said before, that, you know, there are voices in this movie that aren't usually heard in horror, let alone film sometimes. But we have a very strong female crew too. I'm directing it. My director of photography is a woman. Our other producer is a woman. We just have lots of strong ladies backing this project.
Which is, super unfortunately not the norm. Like, in anything, but let alone horror.
Yeah, horror is such a boys' club, but not for long.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's super, like...
Time for the girls to play.
I think it's super cool.
I want to play too.
Yeah, and I think that it's a movie that, like, really does get down and dirty in like the final reel when everything is made clear of like, this is what's going on. It really does, I don't know,
and
get pretty wild.
As a female director, I'm gonna bring that to life. I'm so tired of, you know, telling people that I'm making a horror movie and or telling men that I'm into a horror movie and them being like, that's so cool because you're a girl. I'm so sick of that.
Yeah. Like, I think it's amazing to have like a horror movie written by a gay man, like produced largely by like a female-centric crew. Yeah. That never happens. Ever. Like, that's awesome.
We might be a first.
Yeah, so I think
a first that's not like, we're not like a niche film, you know?
Yeah. Like, to do something with
just
hopefully...
a horror film.
Chicago style.
Yeah. Oh, and also,
style, yes.
All Chicago cast and crew.
All Chicago cast and crew. We are keeping it local. There's so much talent, both in front of and behind the camera in Chicago, and that deserve, you know, to get work instead of being outsourced to LA and New York.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very important to us.
Bring your projects here.
Yes.
Bring your projects
here. Bring stuff here.
And bring your donations to Cheap Plastic Mask on Seed&Spark.com.
Okay, cool. So you can find us on Facebook. Just Facebook search Cheap Plastic Mask. Please like our page. And you can find us on Seed&Spark. It's seed, like plant seed, and spark.
You did a really good job of explaining that. I loved it. Nailed it.
I mean, without spelling it. Or you can just go to our Facebook page. Yeah. We have posts all over about it. We are at about 21% of our budget right now. So and have only been launched for a couple days. So
what's the cutoff date?
The cutoff date is October 2nd.
Yeah.
Wrap up!
All right, it is time for the wrap up.
You just had to one-up me again, didn't you?
I strike last and first. That was really fun.
Yeah, Allie and Jake are pretty awesome. They're funny and they're very knowledgeable in the horror movies.
No, they're very
They've seen stuff that I hadn't even heard of.
Right. No,
it makes me feel inadequate as a horror movie fan.
Yeah. No, they actually...
Not like it's a bad thing. It's just now I got stuff to do.
Yeah, they have... they definitely know what they're doing. Yeah. So I'm sure this movie's going to be awesome.
I think it's going to be pretty amazing.
I do too.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to donate. Do what you guys can to help these people get their dream going.
Hey, we're giving it our seal of approval.
We are. It's toasty.
That means it is amazeballs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super toasty.
We liked it. Stella liked it.
She likes you right now too.
That's what she really likes me. That's typical women.
That's a cat.
So make sure to subscribe to our channel and like us on Facebook, like our Twitters, thumbs up, all those good internet social media things that are allowed to be done. Do them.
Do them. And do them for Cheap Plastic Mask too.
Absolutely.
Make it happen, people. Make that project happen, because I want to see that goddamn thing.
I do too. I want to see this movie, so we gotta help make it happen.
Word. She's still upset at you for the little serenade that you gave her last time. She turned her back on you. Like, I abandoned you, sir.
Just, it's hard to win these cats' hearts over, when it comes to love. I think she's too old for me.
I think she is, because I think in equivalent years she's probably like 80.
No, see, but I love her though.
Can't get enough of that pussy.
Bring your donations to Cheap Plastic Mask on Seed&Spark.com. How about that?
Like a
seed.
Like in an apple.
And
Like an apple.
And as an
Seed
also.
as in seed.
yeah.
And as in addition to.
And Spark.
I'll have
Well,
the pictures of a seed and a spark.
you know what? Now it's clear.